Devas of Creation, a highly anticipated RPG game on Roblox, has finally come out. But is it worth the hype and is it now part of the big 3 on Roblox? You will find out all that in this video. So Devas of Creation released last Saturday morning, and at its peak the game had 80k players. And considering the hype this game had, the player count makes sense. Because Devas of Creation was not hyped as much as RLCs for like 2 straight years. I found out about the game 2 weeks before it came out, like probably everyone else. And the game still had 80k players on release, which is good. Just imagine the number of players RLCs will have when it releases. Anyways, is Devas of Creation a good game worth the hype? Yes, it is a good RPG game, but is it a great game? And would I say it's the best game on the whole platform? Of course not. It has many problems, glitches and stuff no one likes about the game, but it also has many positive things. So stay till the end of this video and make sure to subscribe to find out if this Devas of Creation game is good or not, based on my experience till now. Let's start from the beginning. The character customization is good. You can choose between different races and each race gives you special traits and buffs depending on the race you choose. But what is not good is the loading time. It takes a lot of time to join the game and you have to look at this white screen for a long time, which is a minor problem for now. However, trust me, you're gonna crash a lot out of this game, which is demotivating to reopen the game again and again because it has a lot of glitches, so it's probably gonna crash a lot of times. The PvE of Devas of Creation is not gonna lie good, but it's still not close to deep open. You can block and parry attacks of monsters, but you're probably gonna block most of the time instead of parrying, because this is not really a parry based game, because there's not a significant difference between blocking and parrying, so why go a step further when you can just block? And if you play Deep Open, the PvE of this game is most likely going to be extremely easy, because in Deep Open, if you miss a few parries, you honestly might be cooked, but in this game it's a lot easier and it won't be much of a challenge. Don't get me wrong though, the PvE of this game is better than 99% of other games with PvE, because it's actual combat against NPCs where you're exchanging attacks, which might seem like every game has that, but no, in most of Roblox games, you either rush forward and spam click and eat all the punches, which is very bad for combat. This game has good combat though in my opinion, but is it better than Deep Open? Simply no. Deep Open PvE is a lot more fun because you might lose your slot at any second if you miss a parry, and the NPCs almost always have way better stats than you. In Devas of Creation on the other hand, the PvE is pretty light work, not gonna lie, especially if you played Deep Open before. However, I noticed a few problems in PvE. For example, when you're casting your ability on an NPC, the NPC is literally just gonna keep attacking you, even though you're casting your ability and have already casted it. Like, the ability is dealing damage to them, but they're still attacking you at the same time, and they're never gonna try to parry anything. They're just gonna eat all the punches, and there's like no knockback. The only knockback there is like from your M1s after like 5 M1s or something. This game has good combat if you compare it to literally like every other Roblox game right now. However, what I do not like about this game is PvP, because first of all, the game's main objective is not PvP, because you have to turn on PvP while in the game to actually fight someone, and the other person also has to have PvP turned on. I think they should honestly remove this feature, because this feature might seem useful, but this makes the game less fun, because you don't lose your character slot when you die like you do in Deep Open, so why have this feature in the first place? Another problem is the abilities, because if you haven't realized, there are only 3 of the same abilities you must use, no matter what weapon you have. The abilities you have will be the same whether you have a legendary sword or the most common wooden sword. The only difference will be M1 damage, and having constantly the same abilities where it doesn't change for every different weapon you use like in every other game is not gonna lie very boring. Not only PvP but also PvE, because like imagine having to use like only 3 abilities no matter what weapon you use. Like, they should honestly add more abilities and change this, because right now that is not really good, to be honest. Now you might be asking, what about Devas of Creation is good then? And honestly, what I think they spend the most time developing is the graphics, because the game's graphics are crazy good, and also the storyline. However, if you don't have a mount, the storyline is not gonna be fun, and they obviously made the mount very hard to get and evolve it. And the game is not a Benny beater, first of all. The storyline is also not gonna lie fun, which is like 90% of the game. So I think they spent most of the time making the storyline and the map and all that, which is reasonable. But still, it can't be my favorite game on Roblox because of the PvP and PvE flaws, which can be fixed, not gonna lie, but it might take a lot of time. But anyways, it's a good game, so I'm gonna continue playing it, especially now that there's basically nothing better on Roblox at the moment, until these other games that have insane expectations like RLCs and Holy War X come out. That's gonna be it for this video. If you made it till the end, consider subscribing, liking and commenting.